Another important mechanism for for sending input from an HTML page to your web server or to your JavaScript or another scripting language is the Unchaste event. So in this case we have a form element, a select box from which you can select some car brands, and then again a paragraph with ID demo. And once you change a selection in this drop-down menu, you will execute my function, and my function gets the value from this select box, and then so get element by ID my select. So this has ID my select. It gets the value, and then it selects another element with ID demo, and it changes the inner ID to the value you selected plus x. So you concatenate this string with this variable x, and x contains the selection of my select, the value of this selection. So my select is the select dropdown. So let's look at the code. Let's look at running the code. So we use a W3C Schools code example editor. So here we have the same code. Again, the select box, which is this element, which I can select Audi, BMW, Mercedes or Volvo, which is listed here. Once I select it, my function triggers, which will then get this value and then post it or show it here in this paragraph element. So I select BMW and I see you selected plus BMW, the value here, and this is the value in this input element. So these are two examples of how you can select something on a web page and then get it in your script, JavaScript. So you see script tags, and this contains your client-side scripting code. So I have some examples. For example, this one uses the JavaScript jQuery library, and it uses the jQuery AJAX call to send HTTP requests in the background. So I go to the code repository, which shows me what I'm looking at, which shows me the underlying code. I included it here as in an iframe. So this is the actual example. So you only see the results here. So in the code, I run the SVG example, the jQuery example. So you can download this and then try it for yourself or use it for your final project. So example jQuery, which includes jQuery, the JavaScript library. Then it has some query which selects Amsterdam and Berlin, and gets the country from which it's a capital. Select distinct capital, select distinct area. So I also select the total area. Then I have a URL, which is my Spark query endpoint. So in this case, I query Wikipedia, and then I append this Spark query endpoint with my query. So this Spark query, and I URI encode this such that the spaces and the brackets will have special characters to avoid conflicts. And I say I want JSON back as a result set with the formal format variable and then the JSON value. Here I use the AJAX call. I say I want JSON back. I send the URL, which is http://sparkle. Question mark query is my entire Sparkle query. And then if the success function, I get data back. I say the results, I put the data in a results variable, and then I have on my page a results element. So you get the element by the results. So this is here. And then in my results in the inner HTML, I just print the results, which are basically the data I get back from Wikipedia. and then I do some other things with it. As I get JSON back, I try to stringify it to make it pretty, and I also read out all the results in a for next loop, and then for each result I go through the array, so I iterate I, variable I, so results 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Will be iterated through, and then for each result I look up capital that value, and I also look at the area size, which is results .area.value. And as you can see here, I first have the JSON object, then I output the JSON object in readable code, and then I print the DBpedia results. I print more specific results by addressing specific values here, so the capital.value and area.value. And in the JSON here, you can also see capital and then the value string, and area dot value here as well, which is 20 million something value. So that is the, let's see the Sparkle query, that is the total area of the capital region I retrieved from DBpedia of Amsterdam and Berlin. And then there's also svGistler. So this is the code for the jQuery example, which I just showed you. So I have some query, and then I have an AX call, which is an HTTP background call, and I get some results back. Then for svGistler, I use the svGistler library. That is a lot easier. So this is example 1, I think. No, this is svGistler library. So maybe the index. Yeah. So I use, this is example 1, and as input here, I just load up the svGistler library, and then I say svGistler, I use a prefix, an endpoint, my query, I say which chart type I use, and I say the pixel width and height of the chart. And here I just call svGistler form draw my form, and I draw the svGistler in the div ID my form. So this is a lot easier than the previous example. So I don't have to to define an HTTP request and post the results, but the results are directly inputted in the table. So you can work from this as well in your final project. So there are libraries that make life easy. So this is the code which I just showed you. And then there's another example, AK Finder, which is more advanced, in which I use server-side scripting as well. Here I have a review interface with predefined queries, and you can see the query here as well. So I send the query and I get the result back from a triple store, which is also a semantic wiki, which shows the results very nicely directly. And you can again view the code on GitHub. So in AK Finder I have a web server. Well, basically I use I use a web server Apache, which executes PHP, and then I don't query DBpedia, but I query my own triple store on archimine.nl. In case you want to use this, you need to install Apache MySQL PHP, so you can use XAMPP for that. You see I have queries here in the code, in the source code. I use the Sparkle lib.php, which is a PHP library for Sparkle querying. I do Sparkle connect to an endpoint, the Sparkle endpoint, and I do results by giving the query as input and then saying Sparkle query, which is a function of the Sparkle query library. And then once I have the results, I do I fetch the array results, and for each field in fields, I post them and I put a hyperlink around it, as you can see here. And with the hyperlink, I go to the actual instance on the internet on archimine.nl. So let's start development, both in the practical assignment and in the final project. Always make backups, multiple copies of your file, or use a version management system like GitHub. Include code comments so you know what you're writing and that others know it, especially if you work in teams. Do Google a lot, or Yahoo, or whatever, or Bing. Use a lot of Stack Overflow and other websites that show you solutions to programming problems. And a lot of the things you need are also findable on the internet. So for the final project, there is a project stub in Python, which is also in the GitHub repository we have been using up until now to install all our tools. So you see here, and you have the tools.md that you used before, but in source there's a project stub for the Python project. We use Flask as an HTTP server, and then the README and the root of this repository will show you how to get the Python project stub up and running. You see, these are the tools that you partially need for this. The tools.md. You can write it yourself, the entire final project and the assignment, pure JavaScript or Node.js or anything. So you're very free to do what you want. You can continue work from the assignments using HTML and JavaScript and the Angular library. Or you can reuse frameworks, for example, the svgisler example. But svgisler is quite easy to use, but then you might also get less credit because then it is because then you are also limited in what you can show. And if you show only one svgisler example, one svgisler generated chart, you will not get much credits on the web application development part of the final project. But then you might make up for this by having very nice ontology. And here are the examples, which I just showed before, a link to the GitHub repository. That's it, thanks, and good luck.